Hi, this is Rob Southgate, podcaster and co-founder of the Southgate Media Group. The Southgate Media Group is proud to present the supersized two-part 50th episode of Capes and Lunatics, Avengers Infinity War.
That's right. Hello and welcome to part one of the big 50th episode of Capes and Lunatics. The only thing anyone's talking about this weekend, Avengers Infinity War. As always, I am Phil. DC superfan Lilith has chosen not to join us this weekend and is scoot in the corner. But, of course, Charlie's always here. Mr. Marvel.
The professor.
That's right. And, again, it's going to be a roundtable, so we have some guests. First, we have Adam from the Adeland Rising podcast.
Hello, you all right?
And from the Signal of Doom, you said Stu?
Yeah. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Stu.
And from Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast, with perfect timing, we got Ray. Ray, you there?
Oh, have we?
Hello, Ray? Uh-oh. Well, hopefully we'll get Ray soon.
Yes. My son is trying to avoid spoilers, and I told him that it's
Leave the room, son.
You know, he just came in and told me, lower your voice. I can still hear you, Daddy. So I'm going to try and be subtle.
Meanwhile, you saw it twice today, huh, Charlie?
Yeah, I saw it twice. I had to. I couldn't. I had to process it. I had to process what I saw. And, you know, I just said, you know what? I went back and I saw it the second time in 3D. Good in 3D. Really good in 3D. It translates well for 3D. I'll say that. But
is the moon scene really good in 3D?
Yeah. I mean, you know, honestly, at that point, you know, what I'll say is I don't think any of the battles were as good in 3D as just some of the other more broader visuals, but they were all good. Yeah. When the moon is falling, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, did I mention we're gonna spoil the heck out of this movie? So
yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen it, stop right here.
Let's say that at the beginning of the podcast, Phil.
I know. Well, it's kind of at the beginning. All right. So I guess we'll go around to first as like, what's the most shocking thing, everyone? Stu, we'll start with you. What's the most shocking thing you saw in this movie? You're like, I can't believe they did that.
I mean, the ending. It's obviously the ending, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It's half the cast just disappearing to dust. And the cast that they chose was what shocked me the most. Like we were talking before off air that it was Black Panther and Spidey and the Guardians and the guys that you expected to carry it forward.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting maybe some of the original six to drop out so the universe could get carried on by the new guard. And it just never really happened. It was...
Yeah, but like I said, I think that was their way of reassuring us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that basically they were like, you know, we're not going to do a big jokey end here because they don't do a jokey end credit scene. There's nothing that's meant to be, ha ha ha, we're fun and we're silly Marvel. And so they said, but we do want people to know there is hope. And the only way they can say there is hope is by killing Black Panther and Spider-Man. And they're like, you guys know.
All the guys that have been confirmed for another movie, for more movies. Yeah. But there's Ray from Into the Night.
Hey,
the Moon Knight.
Guys. How are you?
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Stu.
From a world away in Australia.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's a bit of internet problems there, but I just changed rooms, so it's a lot better here.
There you go.
What's it like in the future?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Have you seen the next Avengers movie yet?
I tell you what was really weird though was and Stu knows about this as well. Like we get it on the 25th, Infinity War, and it was quite hard to kind of keep your mouth shut. I mean, for that time, like knowing a lot of guys like yourself have to wait a few more days. But I'm really glad that you guys have seen it now, so it's really cool.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So
this is a spoiler podcast, so
Ray, we were going around. What was like your what was the thing that shocked you the most about this movie? You're like, I can't believe they went there.
Well, there's so many things in this movie. The first thing I'd say probably was in the first minutes, like Loki, I guess. That was the first shock for me. I wasn't too surprised about Heimdall, just being a periphery kind of character. But Loki, yeah, it seemed like his death was quite final. But, there are heaps of things out there. It's just so strange to like pick one.
Yes. You notice that Loki had no bumps or bruises on him after that big fight with Thanos. Loki's just standing there,
Yeah.
I know that was shocking. I can't believe they took him out in the first 5 minutes.
Exactly. He was a big. We both. I took my partner and we both turned to each other, going, "Okay," he's gone. And that was just 5. Right? Yeah, exactly. 5 minutes in the movie was crazy.
What's that first scene? Yeah.
What was yours? What was your most impactful?
Stu was saying the end was brutal, but you kind of saw coming. 'Cause they've done that in the comics, and since it was Spider-Man and Black Panther and everyone, like we said, they're coming back, so that's getting. Well, they kept pushing the death stuff, so it's when you. When he stab Tony Stark, you're like, oh boy, is this Robert Downey Jr. going out?
Yeah, that brought out a huge gasp from the audience.
I know. I was like, no.
Yeah, because everyone was kind of thinking about it, right? And everyone was speculating. But that was a big moment as well.
Because I would have bet that if anyone was going out, it was going to be Robert Downey Jr. Because you kill him off, you can hire 2 or 3 more people because he makes what some third world countries make.
Yeah.
But but Adam, what was your shocking?
So I'm going to go a bit off piste here. I'm going to say about everything that everybody else has said, but also kind of how much it didn't feel like an Avengers movie.
True.
Because actually, to me, it felt like it was almost the continuation of Thor's arc, and Thanos. It was Thanos' story, basically. And yeah, that kind of shocked me a little bit because the Avengers weren't actually in it that much. So, which, again, it is a great movie and I really enjoyed it, but I think Avengers is almost a mistitle in a way.
Well, to be fair, as Tony Stark, as Tony Stark points out to Bruce, the Avengers broke up. There are no Avengers when this film starts. So this is very much about getting the band back together. Well, can I say what was the most shocking scene for me? And Phil, you probably know this because I'm watching this film and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was right. I was absolutely right about what they were going to do. They killed off Thanos in the first 20 minutes.
What?
They killed off Thanos.
Gamora?
Yeah, Gamora kills Thanos in the first 20 minutes.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Rewrite reality, something the Stone never did prior to this moment. Can we just take a moment to say Stones never behaved like they're doing in this film at any other time we've seen them? The Reality Stone never did that.
No,
not in
of course.
Thor Dark World. No, that's because it was always the Power Stone, not the Reality Stone. They just the Power Stone, which was actually supposed to be the Soul Stone, didn't used to light fires either, but now it does.
All right. Here's an issue I had with one of the stones, and I can't believe that no one brought up this moment that we got the Return of the Red Skull.
Yes,
that was the big.
That was supervillain team up.
I know, but I was just like, Thanos had to do this whole ritual of killing what he loved and everything for the Soul Stone. Like, none of these other Soul Stones had any rituals or anything. All you have to do is pick them up, be like, all right.
But that's because, as the Red Skull says, the Soul
Stone is different. Yeah,
because it's got a soul.
Yeah, did you guys find Gamora quite naive in that scene with Thanos? How there's a sacrifice that has to be made, and she's going, "Oh, well, sucked in. You don't love anyone." I mean, isn't it blatantly obvious that he loves her? And
it depends on how you define love. Because here's what I'm going to say. Because I don't believe in unrequited love.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you really can't love someone unless they love you back. That love has to be a two-way street. Because otherwise, you're not actually loving that person. You're loving an idea of that person. And in that sense, he loved the idea of Gamora, not Gamora herself. That was the whole... And for what it's worth, what he actually killed wasn't necessarily Gamora. It was his idea of Gamora. because he had this idea he loved of Gamora, that she would be his heir and continue his be his perfect daughter, and this was him saying, "You're never going to be that." Yeah. And of course, you do have that scene again. That scene I was referencing there, where Thanos wanted to see if she did love him, and that she cries as she kills him. But truth be told, you don't really know why she's crying. Is she crying because she is sad that she had to kill this guy, or is she crying because he put her through a lifetime of Shostakovich, and now she is, finally releasing all that pent-up anger and hatred.
That's how I read it. I read it that it was a release for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think Thanos, in classic sociopathic style, is reading way too much into other people's emotions.
Yeah.
But to me, that is what he killed. It wasn't that he killed the daughter he loved. It was that he killed this idea that he loved.
He's just full of purple privilege. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you had all those flashbacks to young Gamora. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was the idea that he, the whole little one thing. I think that's what he felt that he was killing, as opposed to the adult Gamora.
Well, and I guess perhaps on some level, because he says he neglected his destiny once, and when he's saying that, he's referring to Gamora. He's referring to this idea that there was this child. Because as he says, the whole point of his killing half the universe is that it has to be dispassionate. That it's not, we're just going to kill off this half of the population because they're not helping society. It has to be random. It has to, take rich and poor alike. It has to be this system. And he broke his rule because there was this child who caught his eye, and he allowed himself to catch feelings for her, as it were. Now, but again, what those feelings are, is that real love, or is that just obsession?
Listen to this man's words, people. He saw this movie 2 times today.
Oh yeah,
in a day. I saw it for the second time yesterday.
Yeah.
It's the first movie I've ever seen twice in the cinema, especially considering I saw it within about 48 hours. It's just like,
wow.
Yeah.
I just like that emotional trauma.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Stuart, you saw it a couple of times as well, yeah?
Yeah, I saw it twice day one. I've seen it another time since. It's still just as good.
Yeah.
Like, repeat viewings don't hurt this movie at all.
Well, that's great.
I think the second viewing, in my opinion, was worse.
Oh, really?
Because I knew exactly what was coming, and you could kind of focus more on the conversations and the actual thought behind it, as opposed to constantly expecting somebody to get the throat slit or something.
So that you're like looking to see if it's like obvious.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was such a good movie.
Yeah, well, like all films, it is not without flaws. There are certain continuity issues that make you go, well, why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? One thing I'm going to say, though, is I do want to squelch this idea before how it should have ended makes a whole big stink about it. That what you're seeing, because, he has the Infinity Gauntlet, and yet, everyone's still kicking him around. And the thing is that infinite power in a finite mind has as its basic problem that you can't access that infinite power because you're constantly being distracted. That so long as you're being pinged, you can't focus to do anything the way you'd want to, and that's basically why, even though he has the Infinity Gauntlet, and arguably nigh omnipotence,
Well, yeah, but I mean, unlike the comics, he didn't have like cosmic awareness. If someone they showed, he could be surprised or take an axe to the chest.
Yeah. Well, it's I think when Thor's coming at you with an axe is there's not many other ways this story's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And although, like you said, I would have gone for the head.
Oh, but speaking of the Thor and the axe thing, Charlie, we were totally off about Peter Dinklage. We were all guessing. I mean, first we were saying maybe he was Pip the Troll. We had a big theory that we wanted him to be Mephisto in the worst way.
I would love that. I liked how they did it. I liked, I thought that was a great. I thought it was a great dwarf character. I love the fact that they made dwarves huge.
Yeah, I love
Right.
Yeah, and I think he really he embodied the character well. He said there were only 300 dwarfs on that station, which makes you wonder: are there more dwarves elsewhere in the Nine Realms? Because like 300 seems like a real small number of people for a population.
In the
gotta be
comics,
more.
in the comics, was Etra, isn't it? Wasn't he on Asgard at some point?
Well, I mean, everything's on Asgard in the comic books.
I think it was
because-
in one of those realms at least. Yeah, or maybe Asgard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different in the movies than it is in the comic books, because in the movies or in the comic books they actually treat it like the mythology, where they're almost like countries.
Yeah, I took it that station was just like an outpost, kind of like their steel mill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's a lot of other little dwarves running around elsewhere.
Big one.
dwarves,
Big.
Yes, but it also, and I thought it worked out nicely for having a dwarf character, having him have the images of dwarfism, the shortened limbs and whatnot, but also play with the stockiness of traditional dwarfen depictions.
Yeah.
As these metallurgical masters, and so I really thought it worked out great. I was a little sad he didn't come to the fight in Wakanda.
Just would have squashed them all.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they felt they've already spent enough money on Dinklage.
Yeah.
But
And
it
can
was
I
Also, the
say,
fact that they introduced the origin for the actual gauntlet itself through him.
yeah.
I thought that was a really fun kind of backstory bit that we didn't really get in the comics.
Yeah.
I think I kind of had a bit of a continuity thing to it though, because you kind of got to then question, well, when did Thanos go to Eitri and actually get?
Because one of the early scenes he had it. Yeah.
So and it's kind of because it was in. I know it was a fake, but it was in Thor, the original movie. So you kind of got a question. Well, if it was before that, then how long ago was that? And how does it fit within the continuity of the movies?
Yeah, well, it's actually a big problem because, of course, Asgard. Because basically, what Thor tells him is, Asgard didn't come to your aid because Asgard was destroyed. But if that was the case, then because Asgard just got destroyed a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Really, in the universal timeline. So it's much more likely that at some point during Loki's reign as Odin, that's when what they call it, Neveldime, got destroyed, because Loki.
Either that or there's been multiple copies of the same gauntlet.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's.
It's not a new design for them.
Well, that's
just
what I
went
was
there
gonna
because he knew that they'd made one before.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe Thanos had like a weaker version that, the stones didn't like. So he went to that forge because he knew they could build one that would have.
I was going to say, as a, my job is a design engineer, so I'm just putting it down to they were prototyping it beforehand. So,
I love the practical thinking there, Adam.
yeah.
Because he needed something that was going to last. Because even after he snapped his fingers at the end, you saw that gauntlet after he wiped out half the universe.
Oh, what happened? What happened to it?
Didn't look like it was all like melted or
Yeah, burnt out.
Yeah, it was all burnt up.
Yeah, it was burnt up because you're not. The whole point of the Infinity Stones was no one's ever actually supposed to have really
used
been
all
able
six
to
of them.
use them.
Yeah.
That even holding one, they make the point. Even holding one is almost difficult. And always, you had to have some kind of object around the Infinity Stone to actually make it useful. Like you had to have the cube for the Tesseract, because just holding the Space Stone would have, it'd burn your fingers off. What I would say with the other gauntlets is probably people have been trying to make a gauntlet for centuries. For thousands and thousands of years, because these stones have existed. Everyone knows they're there. They all know that if you had them all together, you could do this thing. But they've been trying to figure out a way to do that.
So do you think also as well, like leading on with that, we're going to get some cosmic entities, right, in the next film? We're all on the same page, you think? We'll see, the Living Tribunal
Maybe, or
Eternity,
like we were saying, maybe the Elders of the Universe, because we've already seen two of them.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, that's an interesting aspect because we I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it'll be if we get in time travel, I wonder if it's kind of going to be a race to the gauntlet. So if Stark is going back in time, then what happens if he kind of says, "Well, we need to get that gauntlet before Thanos does"?
Yeah,
which kind of suggests, which is why they've kind of gone back to 2012 Avengers, where they know where a gem was. In fact, they know where two gems were. So you can kind of. I think Thor is going to be a big part of the next movie as well. I mean, the original 6 are going to be a big part, obviously.
I was thinking about this before because why are we talking time travel? Because I know they were saying they cast a teenage Cassie Lang, but what if instead of time travel, what if they bring these people back? Because what if Cassie's one of the ones who disappeared and they bring these people back? What if some of them are changed?
Yeah, that's true.
You could retcon whatever kind of stuff in the characters you want.
Yeah,
bring back Terrence Howard.
Maybe not.
Man, I don't know.
Too different, yeah.
One thing I do want to. One thing that really shocked me in this was that Thor is only 1,500 years old.
Yeah.
Did that freak anybody else out?
Spring chicken, I don't know. I just thought it was. I just kept on thinking of Yoda. And thinking, is he older than Yoda?
Yoda was 900 years old, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, what bothers me about it is I got to think Norse mythology is older than 1,500 years.
Yeah, but maybe he's the youngest of Odin's 250 kids or something.
Well, how many Thors has Odin had?
Well, who's he been sleeping around with? I don't know.
That's a good point, though. It is Norse mythology more than 1,500 years old? Because... Well, I mean, yeah.
Well,
because
the short answer is yes.
Okay.
The long answer is our records on it are not that old because our records on it mostly date from. Well, actually, no, I don't know if that's true because I know that the Germanic tribes who also worshipped Odin and Woden, were around during the during the Roman Empire, which was well more than 1,500 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the only other idea that could be a possibility is that in the cycles of Ragnarok, which we never really discussed, but if there are cycles of Ragnarok, maybe that's something that might come up. That that everything gets resurrected, and when everything gets resurrected, Asgard is one of the things that gets resurrected.
Or Thor might have just been wrong. I mean, he might have been kind of woozy. He did take a blast to the head from Thanos.
Yeah, possibly, but it's a very specific number to say 1,500 years old.
Well, we could have longer years on Asgard. Who knows?
True.
Yeah, maybe 1,500 Asgardian years. Fair enough.
1,500 Asgardian years. Yeah.
I mean, the whole conversation was ridiculous, Charlie. He was talking to a rabbit.
I loved how he kept on referring to him as a rabbit.
I know. I was waiting for someone to make it. I was waiting for Star-Lord or someone to make the joke. Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids.
Well, you know what I liked about that is that him calling him, because we all know that Rocket gets upset when people call him a raccoon. But calling him a rabbit, he might not actually know what a rabbit is.
I know. I was waiting for him to say, "What the hell's a rabbit?"
Yeah, he kept his mouth shut. He didn't do anything. Yeah.
Do you know? Talking of Rocket though, the scene at the end where he watches Groot disappear, which is heart wrenching. I was really kind of hoping that when the Winter Soldier disappeared, his arm would drop to the floor and Rocket would pick it up as if to have kind of that. But looking really sad about it. That would have kind of reaffirmed him as as what he is, but kind of just put that sad twist on it.
Yeah, that would have been funny. But yeah, those last scenes were quite. I mean, although we knew it was kind of coming, they still kind of had a big impact, didn't they? I don't know. Spider-Man's was a big one. We got in the cinema where I was at, there were a lot of, I don't know, whimpering. I'd say people were crying and weeping, which is I shouldn't laugh, but there was it was quite shocking. So, which of the deaths did you kind of were you most connected with, I guess, or?
I mean, the Spider-Man one was tragic just because it's this young kid who's like, no,
Yeah.
I gotta say, honestly, I'll be honest, when both Sam and Winter Soldier died, when Sam died, and also actually when Sam died, and then Rhodey's looking for him.
Yeah,
that was like, oh man.
Yeah, that was it.
Because I thought. No, sorry. It's just this idea, it's like, oh man, these because they were like these two, they're the two military guys, two African American superheroes. Yeah. They're in this club, and even though they've never had a lot of scenes together, and they've never had scenes together, but you have to imagine that maybe when they were all in the Avengers, they were really tight. That's this thing that you can imagine, this real backstory between Rhodey and Sam as these two guys who have so much of a shared experience that really none of the other Avengers have. They're both military, they're both African American, they both have lived very similar lives in this way, and probably connect now that they're both superheroes in a way that other people aren't connecting, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. I think the best though was the Sam Jackson one in the end credits. Oh
yeah, yes,
that one.
I'd expect that. Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was probably the one that no, not Sam Jackson too.
Also, I love the Mova, but that was brilliant.
Exactly. Well, I thought Black Panther, just because he was trying to get towards Okoye. And he was like, had that look of desperation on his face, and he's saying, this is not a place to die here. And then he kind of goes. I found that was quite, quite shocking as well.
Her reaction was powerful.
Yeah, very good.
I think that the bigger one was someone who didn't even die, like the one when Thanos' guy went for Vision. I was like, and Shuri was there. I'm like, don't you kill Shuri?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, when Black Panther is dying and he's reaching to Okoye, and there's this moment where I'm looking at, and I don't know which one is the one disappearing.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it's Black Panther, it's like, oh, because and I think that maybe is intentional, that they wanted you to think, oh, Okoye dies. Oh, how sad. Wait, what? It's Black. It's T'Challa? No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. I said people would probably be more freaked out if like a Captain America disappeared, because Chris Evans has been talking about his contract and stuff, and if it had been Okoye, everyone would have been like, oh, "Is this permanent?"
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I just realized this: when Thanos first touches after he kills Gamora, and actually just after he uses the gauntlet, and he goes to that red-skied world, it just struck me, that's very similar to the realm of the dead that we see in Black Panther.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
And now I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's intentional. Maybe that is their way of saying that this is the pathway to the realm of the dead. Because one of the things I was thinking in this is that, when Doctor Strange comes out of his trance and he says, I've looked at 14 million different options. Says, do we win any of them? And he says 1.
Oh, that's the other thing. Why did he give him the time stone?
Because
that's got to be a part of his plan, surely.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was because I was thinking about this. So my fan theory is that he realized there's only one way that they win, and that is if they can delay him long enough so that when he gets the stone, because he's going to get the stones, they're not going to defeat him from getting the time stone. That's what he realizes. But they have to delay him long enough. And when he's looking at all the universes, there's only one universe in which he does the one thing he never would have done, which is sacrifice the time stone to save someone else's life. So when he does that, when he saves Tony Stark, it's the one thing that changes the outcome. So he couldn't just give the time stone. Because they had to delay him, because you had to have the Mind Stone be destroyed first, because he has to use the time stone to recreate the Mind Stone. And in doing that,
This
that's
is
possibly creating the temporal paradox that Morty warned him about. That is going to be the big loophole in all of this.
That makes me wonder because, like, I went with a different friend last night on Wednesday night or Thursday morning. I went with 3 friends that we just talk about comic books constantly. I went with a friend last night who he's not that into Marvel movies, so he's quite a good person to bounce ideas off.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that what if the stones, they kind of like connect with the people that they're used on? So you had the Power Stone used on Thor. You had the Mind Stone. I mean, technically that was already used on Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got? Time Stone. I mean, was it used on Tony Stark? I suppose it was used on Vision, at least.
The Time Stone? Well, it's been used by it was used by Doctor Strange, and he used it on himself in the last Doctor Strange movie when he puts himself in the time loop with
Yeah. But I think by Thanos it was definitely used on Vision.
Yeah.
And then what's the other stones?
Reality.
Reality, I suppose. Reality is a bit more difficult because I suppose that was used on Drax and
Mantis. Yeah.
Mantis.
It was used,
However,
it was also used on the Hulk because that's why he phases through him and why he phases into the rocks.
Yep. And then you've got what's the last one I'm missing?
Space. Did you say Soul?
Space.
Yeah, so I've said the Space Stone, which I guess. Yeah, I don't know who
wasn't that used on Hawkeye? The Space Stone?
No, that was the Mind Stone.
Yeah, that's the Mind Stone.
That was the Mind. Yes.
So my friend's kind of theory was that I know the MCU has an ability of like twisting the stories and stuff away from the comics a bit. You know, now that their minds are connected with the different stones, could that have an effect on the outcome of the next movie?
I mean, it's entirely possible. And one thing I'll say is that clearly Gamora is connected to the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Because when, of course, Thanos goes again to that dark place, there is again the idea of Gamora that he killed.
Yeah.
Waiting for him.
And there's a nice connection with the comics there as well. In the comics, she's very much connected with the Soul Stone as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I liked that when he says, what did it cost? And he says it cost everything. And it makes you wonder if there's not much power left in that gauntlet.
Yeah.
That this action, basically maybe that there's just enough power left to maybe bring the universe back. And I'm still waiting to see if the Elders of the Universe do fit into this.
I hope so.
Because we didn't really see what happened to the Collector.
No.
We see him in that scene, but we know that that's also a reality alteration.
Yeah, as a viewer, you'd probably assume that he'd been disposed of by Thanos off screen somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what. Yeah.
Or he ran and got away. You know, I mean, there's lots of options there. You know, or he was brought back for that scene, and then when the Reality Stone resets, he goes back to wherever he ran off to.
I mean, we even have Celestials too, because Star-Lord is a Celestial.
Yeah, well, and we also saw the Celestials in the first one too. Because the Celestials were the first people wielding the Infinity Stones. We saw the Power Stone was used by one of the Celestials as he's passing the cosmic judgment of the celestial host in the flashback universe thing. And then we see the Celestials all blow themselves up trying to use these stones, and that's how we get Ego.
Yeah,
because that's the brain that was inside of nowhere at one point.
But Charlie, you mentioned the Hulk before. So what's the Hulk's problem? Is he scared?
Yeah, the Hulk is scared, and this is why I'm kind of hoping that somewhere, maybe as a one shot, because Disney has said they want to do one shots again. We get Doc Samson back.
Yeah, that'll be cool. But not the same actor. Not the same actor though. Maybe someone else.
No, the same actor. I love that guy.
Yeah,
he's the dad from Modern Family, and he was honestly, I really felt he was a fantastic Doc Samson. Not the comic book Doc Samson, but he doesn't have to be the comic book Doc Samson. He has to be
he's got to have. He's got to have the ponytail. Come on, he's got to have the great.
No. Well, he can grow out a ponytail. He doesn't have the gamma powers yet. That comes later. That's what this. That's like when we get our She-Hulk story, you know. Oh, maybe Jen Walters is. Like I said, I'm still hoping Jen Walters shows up in Ant-Man. That's the lawyer that got him off.
Oh yeah, we did get that reference that Hawkeye and Scott made deals.
They made deals. That's why they're not there.
Can we discuss that? What do we reckon is happening there with Scott and Hawkeye?
They're on house arrest. They made a deal so that they could go back and live with their families. Mm-hmm. And we see that in the trailers we've seen for Ant-Man, is that he's got the little ankle bracelet and he's got all that stuff.
I just saw that. Yeah.
And I'm guessing Hawkeye's going to show up in Ant-Man and Wasp.
Well, Charlie, do you think your Hawkeye theory is going to pan out?
Well, I mean, it's possible that he's going to because Hawkeye, of course, became Goliath in the comics, and he may be in this situation where he's like, and it would be interesting to see him deal with the fact that he, is a guy who shoots trick arrows when he's fighting gods.
Let's see.
So
that would be the best.
I think Hawkeye's going to become Ronin.
Yes, I think so as well.
Supposedly they had pictures of him in the suit or something.
Yeah,
because
I think.
Yeah, but what were those pictures from?
They could be fake too. Because I've been watching interviews all week. They were giving those actors fake scripts too.
Well, here's what I'll say. Really, is he in a Ronin outfit or is he in a black leather jumpsuit? And if it's a black leather jumpsuit, how do we know that's not the old Black Goliath costume?
But equally, how do we know it's not? It could have been a black jumpsuit, but could it have been his Avengers costume? Because there's lots of pictures of Captain America in his really awful Avengers get up, and for some reason Tony Stark in Shield gear, which just baffles me. It makes me think that they really are going down that kind of alternate reality.
Wow.
If they follow the comics, what if, because with Sam Jackson gone, what if Tony Stark put Shield back together with himself in charge
as the director
of Shield? That'd be interesting.
We're gonna have to see what happens on the last episode of Shield on Friday. But is Friday the last episode, or is it next Friday? I thought it was the 5th or the 4th.
Is it that close already?
I know it's in May. It's after the last episode, the series end of Once Upon a Time, and then it's going to be the season end, possible series end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, there's like 3 episodes left, Charlie. The 18th,
there's 3 episodes left?
The 18th is the last one, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess they want to give everyone enough time to see the movie before they have everyone disappear at the end.
So spoilers for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess, but wasn't it said that like Nick Fury's out hunting the Red Skull?
No, he's hunting. No, he is hunting. Who was he after? Because he was chasing after all of the aspects of Hydra, all of the Hydra agents that were still out there. And although they wrapped up most of the Hydra agents in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know what he's been doing this while, because Phil's been doing his own little S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. And then they reconstituted S.H.I.E.L.D. with the Patriot at the head of it. While Nick Fury was still on deep cover.
I don't know. That show's not that subtle. Just this season, one of the Hydra agents is General Hale? Hale Hydra?
Yeah, General Hale Hydra, yeah. It's cute. It's cute. But you didn't realize it until you go, oh, Hale Hydra. I get it now.
I can't wait to say Mr. Hydra.
But and they do a lot of great twists, and we've got Graviton now there. But it would be interesting. But I was thinking, because they've been mentioning in the show that when they change history, that Deke may blink out of existence.
Yeah,
and it would be really interesting if if at the very final episode they win, because it's supposed to be somewhat contemporaneous with the movie, because they mentioned that craziness in New York, with aliens. And wouldn't it be interesting if they say we've changed we've changed the future, and then Deke goes, oh goodness, no, and then he fades away, and they all get sad, and then all of a sudden someone else fades away, and then someone else fades away. And
that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be a good time.
to be continued. And then, whether or not we ever get another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we'll have to find out. But yeah.
All right. I mean, no matter what Avengers 4 is, at the end of 4, are we getting that Tony Stark wedding?
Oh, yeah.
I hope so.
You really think that Pepper's going to stick through this anymore?
Oh, she's been put through a lot, hasn't she? Oh gosh.
She already left him once because of this thing.
Yeah.
And then, she takes him back for reasons,
Mhm.
And was that just like sitting on his chest, or did he put another?
No, that's just sitting on his chest. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, is it? Okay, I thought he put it in. Okay.
I knew that's where the nanotech was, but I'm like, he didn't surgically put that back in. Because didn't he say he had a surgery or something again?
Yeah,
No,
that was to remove the shrapnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying, because she says,
okay.
you don't need that.
Yeah.
And he's like,
okay.
no, it's just like a thing I wear.
Although he did have a gaping hole in his chest, so he could have just put something in that hole that he already had there.
I think officially they did some plastic surgery on it and they put like a false sternum in for him.
LMD skin. or
Which
something.
actually would be that would be the most logical thing to do, is that you put a false sternum on it. I want to know if they're going to rebuild the Vision for Avengers 4.
I know. Actually, can I say as well, as in most shocking deaths, I thought Vision's death was really touching, with Scarlet Witch. But also,
Which one?
I know. Yeah. But and also just with what I really loved as well with Shuri, you got a sense that how she was working to try to get that Mind Stone off him.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping and thinking that she would succeed. But what they did was a really great twist in that was arbitrary in the end. Like, he goes jumping out a window and it just all goes for naught. And when Thanos rips that gem off his forehead and he goes all grey, that was like, oh, no way. And actually when he explodes as well, that was amazing.
Wait, what I love
She
about
may have got the gem out. We don't know that she didn't.
I was going to say, a friend of mine last night suggested that she might have actually succeeded, but we don't know that. So
Exactly. He still had it like physically on his forehead.
Yeah.
And then when Thanos took it out, they ripped out half his head. So that would have been enough to kill him.
Yeah, but when it ripped out half his head, that implies that it was still attached to his head. And you saw
physically, but maybe not like wired in.
Yeah, so
you rebuild his head, and he's got what the bits of his personality weren't part of the.
I don't know when he was begging Scarlet Witch to get the destroyed. I think if it wasn't attached, he would have been like, "Here, destroy it."
It's all good. Yeah, I'm just hoping that here's my big hope for Avengers 4. Not going to happen, but here's my big hope. They have the Vision body there. They're like, how the heck are we going to build this? And says, my dad has something in the garage that just might work. And they bring out the artificial man bot from the first Captain America film.
Oh no, I'm hoping
things in his garage here.
I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm hoping Vision's white in the next one. We get the 90s version. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, get that faded.
Yeah,
faded
very ghostly. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, then that's an interesting that kind of a sad point for the Vision too, because when he got that ghostly body, he also lost a lot of his personality, and that's what first started to have problems with him and Scarlet Witch. Had Scarlet Witch not been one of the people who got vaporized, because that really shocked me, because I was actually waiting for them to have a thing about she being pregnant. Because obviously because he had that whole humanoid look there, and we don't know if he's fully functional or not in this universe.
We can only assume, I guess.
Well, I think that wasn't that the thing in the comics that she only got pregnant, due to like her powers or whatever.
They were phantom babies, weren't they? Yeah,
because
Mephisto helped.
It ended up being, what is it? Master Pandemonium's like 2 pieces of his soul or something weird.
Well, yeah, it gets convoluted, but basically, they were parts of Mephisto. But then they went on and had their own existence, because they're in Young
Avengers,
Young Avengers now. So I was waiting for that, because I was waiting to have the Young Avengers or something like that.
Well,
if we do have Cassie Lang coming in as teenage Cassie Lang with Wiccan, and I forget the other one's name.
Hulkling?
Yeah.
No. Her kid. The other twin.
Oh.
The one with the Quicksilver powers.
I forget
his name.
I know the guy. I don't.
But that's what I was saying. Maybe when they bring back some of these people, they're going to be different. Maybe she wasn't pregnant, but when they bring her back, maybe reality's slightly altered or something.
Depends on who brings reality back, doesn't it?
That's what I'm wondering. That was my other theory. Maybe someone does die permanently. Maybe someone has to sacrifice themselves to bring everybody back.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's kind of another thing that a friend suggested, which was, potentially you've got, the original Avengers sacrificing themselves to bring back everybody else. But I think I was going through that entire movie hoping for House of M, or at least a House of M copy. Purely because it just seemed to be leading up to that, and it just seemed to be going towards it, and just like the trauma that she keeps getting put through.
Absolutely.
It was kind of like I was just hoping for when Thanos was going for the Mind Stone, that she just kind of, not even a click of his fingers, like a click of her fingers, and the world just changes around them. Yeah. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Yeah. I'm totally with you, Adam, as well. I thought the seeds were planted there for Wanda. I thought that was great because she was put through such a traumatic experience, and they kind of focused a little bit on it. With 100 things happening in the movie, it would have been perfect to kind of set up House of M that way.
It'll be interesting to see what we get out of the next. Because here's the thing: right now we're where we're at, but we don't really know where we're at for where we're at. We don't know where everyone went when they disappeared. Because, like I said, did they go into the Soul Stone? Are they still there in some way? And this was an idea I had, is that if Doctor Strange knows what's happening, when he starts feeling himself going, what happens if he astral projects? What if his body goes away, but he's still there? And then you can even do another whole thing where, Tony Stark says, "Hey, there's something in my dad's garage," and he gets that from the second season of Agent Carter.
So I think you're banking.
Sorry.
Yeah, Ray, carry on.
I was about to say, I'll just say, Charlie, you're banking a lot on Tony's garage here. So.
it's probably a big garage.
Yeah, well, it is a big garage, actually. So, I'm just saying the Starks have all this stuff in storage. In the Ant-Man film, they're going, there's this transponder in this old Stark facility, and it's still going to be there.
Yeah, it's still in that Stark facility that's still tiny.
And it's still in that Stark facility when they turned into Avengers headquarters. He still goes in and he still gets it.
Look what was in there this movie. That Iron Spider suit was in there.
Oh yeah. And he gets his. They give him all forearms this time.
Yeah.
Because apparently the design person in Avengers can count better than the design person at Marvel Comics at the time.
See, I actually quite appreciate. When the Russos said. Like the people that got the most screen time in this movie will kind of not have the screen time in Avengers 4. Actually, that's pretty accurate because we had the Guardians had the majority of the screen time. I suppose Thor and Thanos excluded. Guardians, the kind of the newer Avengers with Wanda and those kind of people. So the focus really is going to be on the original 5 from the Avengers movie.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking when someone said, "Yeah, we didn't get to see a lot of them in this movie." Yeah, maybe because they're so central in the next one.
Yeah, I think that's. I think I liked the way that was done because everybody was assuming that it'd be like Captain America, Iron Man.
Yeah.
We haven't had that reunion yet between Captain America and Iron Man actually, which was kind of, everybody was going, "Oh, you need to talk to him," but it just didn't happen. I'm just like, I want to see that happen.
Yeah. I think they'll build up to that. I do like the Captain America Thor reunion. I thought that was pretty cool when they were in the battlefield.
Yeah, the bit with Groot where he's like, "I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers."
That's right.
Or like, "Nice haircut. Oh, I see you copied my beard."
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Humor.
There was, but really well placed. And I wanted to just talk about Star-Lord as well. For me, he was one of the standouts, I thought, in this film. Not only because of the comedic relief that he gave as well, but obviously the attachment he had with Gamora. But what I found was he was so true to how he was, I guess, depicted in the other movies as well. And I think Chris Pratt did a great job. Just I don't know, just kind of settling things down and giving a laid backedness to everything. I thought it was pretty good.
But Charlie, they did describe him as something we've said before. They're like, "You're one cheeseburger away from being."
Chris Pratt is the first person to admit that this is the truth of him. That he is a gentleman who enjoys his cheeseburgers, and he only gets ripped for roles. And this time they told him no shirt off. And and Drax is pointing out that he's got that, he's getting
That was pretty. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was great. Well, it's this as I was making the joke, this is just another one of those fluffy little Marvel movies. They can't be all dark and gritty like DC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when we were talking about the Vision and Scarlet Witch. What about the love story between Drax and Thor? He's like, it's like a pirate and an angel had a baby.
You are a dude. This is a man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Drax had some good moments.
Yeah.
Drax always has good moments. He's learning how to use metaphor.
Him and Mantis together, between Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and here, that's like the greatest thing.
The best bit with Mantis was we kick names and take ass.
Hasn't quite got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, oh man, I got so mad at Star-Lord when. I know that they're not going to be able to hold Thanos. They're not going to get the glove off Thanos. But then when he loses it, he starts punching Thanos, and he breaks the thing that and everyone's saying, "Don't do it."
Yeah. Spidey took the glove off. He had it off.
Yeah.
Well, he almost had it off, and then it was like
it was close enough to that Thanos kind of like grabbed it or
back.
something.
Yeah, he was able to grab it back. And to me, that is one of the Martha moments in this film.
Yeah.
This film has its Martha moments. They're not as bad as Martha. They're not Martha. They're not full on Martha. There are moments we can say, that was kind of Martha what they did there. This is a new verb to Martha. It's when you do something stupid in a film for expediency.
Well, it was a little. Yeah.
It was a little that really old movie, Aliens.
That
was cool as well. I thought that was good.
He's a millennial. He's not even a millennial because Lilith is a millennial. He's that next generation he's a teenager. And yes, and hate to tell you this, Phil, Aliens was 30 years ago.
I know.
I'd say
it's an old movie.
Guys, I didn't see Alien until 2016. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alien or Aliens,
just Alien, just the original one.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, that's an actual. I think because I've never actually seen Aliens, but I actually think that was an error in it. Is he says aliens, not alien?
Yeah,
that's
because I think they blow alien out the airlock. I don't know if they do that in Aliens. I've actually
they
never
do.
Seen
yeah,
Aliens.
with the Queen Mother, the Queen alien they did. With Sigourney Weaver, the big airlock, and she's in that.
Oh, didn't she? She's herself, didn't she?
No, in the second one, she was fighting in that machine. Yeah.
No, that's the third one. When she's
no,
fighting
the second one. No, the get away from her, you bitch. You know that one. James Cameron one.
That kid's a poser. He didn't even see Peter didn't even see the movie. Ned probably told him about it or something.
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so maybe it's in Aliens too. Maybe they blow her. I know they blow her out the hatch in Alien.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
Oh, but even just in the beginning of the movie, that bus scene was the greatest. I mean, they got that Stan Lee cameo in there real quick, and
we're all gonna die.
Ned, I need a distraction. Okay, we're all gonna die.
What I loved about that is Stan Lee saying, "What's the matter with you kids? You never seen a spaceship before?"
That's great coming off of his Watcher cameo.
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Don't worry, kids. Tony Stank has it.
Here's the one thing I'm so glad they didn't do, because I was waiting for that as the end credits scene. And
what was it?
That you were going to see the bus driver in his apartment and just.
Oh yeah.
That would have been. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could have handled that if they had.
No.
If they had
I'm gonna
come back in the next one. I'm like, no, don't.
You'd be tempting fate with that one. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a bit.
Or you'd be acknowledging reality. We may not get very many more, and to give a really beautiful, powerful send off for the man in that way,
I'll send him off by taking on Thanos. Get him to.
Just the final cameo is just like Thanos meeting Gamora and like Thanos meeting Gamora in the afterlife, and like there's just Stan Lee just with the gauntlet or something. Just be that'd be amazing.
You know, I do wonder about this because we see Thanos sort of, and this is another. There's a lot of scenes in this I feel like rhyme with other films, and like that scene where he's watching the sunrise reminds me very much of watching the sunrise in, again, Black Panther. You know. And I wonder, like, how much of Thanos' army is still there because he killed half the universe. If he was truly random.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Now that you say that, that is like a theme with like what didn't when Thor and Loki were their last moments with Odin, weren't they? Was the sun going up or down? But there was.
Yeah, as well. Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
But was it good? Because I watched Ragnarok on Thursday between my Infinity War viewings. Because like I said earlier, I felt like the Ragnarok story kind of went on in this one. But I think it was just daytime. I think it's just the fact they were looking out on the ocean in Norway.
I
it
think got dark when Hela showed up.
Yeah.
But
that's like the other thing I didn't like is like Thanos is just like, oh, I'm trying to save the universe by erasing half the people. It's like they should have had him worship death, and I know you can't kind of do it the way you do in the comics, but what if he would have worshipped Hela?
Well, but the thing is, he would have been as interesting of a character. That's the thing. No, he was much more interesting. Trust me, Thanos in the comic books is lame.
Yeah, but if you're like supposedly if you're like this champion for life, wouldn't you be like trying to, I don't know, create more space in the universe for
and
population instead of just erasing everybody?
That with the Gauntlet as well. But actually, what I want to say is his math doesn't work because life has to have life to survive. If he wipes out half the life in the universe, half the plants and animals are gone. What is everyone going to eat?
Yeah, that's true.
It's the exact same problem.
That's exactly.
You can't do
everything's relative.
Thanos.
As I said,
is it all that, or was it just the people? Because I mean, we didn't see like any vegetation or anything disappear.
Well, yeah,
we could have been. We were in Wakanda. We could have seen like half the trees disappear or something.
Yeah, we saw Groot go.
That is true. We did see Groot go.
Yeah.
Actually, what it is he's being very, very what's the word I want to use here? Very sentientists, where the only life that matters is sentient life. So that's the only life that he cares about destroying. Because the rest of life he doesn't care about. He's just, but really all life is part of that cosmic web of life. And so, because the idea is that, that if there's life, it's going to consume itself. Says, well, then, that's true for all life. All life consumes itself because all life has the same problem of finite resources. A lizard in the desert has the same problem as a human in the desert. There's not enough resources to survive on.
That damn grimace.
I think
he's bad at math. That's all I'm saying. He's bad at math.
I think the ultimate thing was like that he seemed to be focusing on resource as opposed to like food and stuff. Like it seemed to be like like we reliant on coal and that sort of stuff. It seemed like that was almost the focus. Whereas then again, he did mention like belly's full and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. I think that's why he saw that he loved Gamora. He's like, I took you from this environment where your belly was never, you just didn't have enough resources, and once I took you, you wanted for nothing.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, gentlemen. Really enjoyed the chat. I have to dash off now. There's a comic swap meet we have to go to, but thank you so much for having me on the show, Phil and Charlie. Happy 50th as well. Kind of well done. Fantastic.
Hey, before you go, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So you can find us on the Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. So just check out Facebook, facebook.com/ITK Moon Knight, or we have a Facebook group if you want to join, facebook.com/groups/ITK Moon Knight. Finally, also Twitter, @ITK Moon Knight. So again, thanks so much, Charlie and Phil. Adam, it's been great to chat with you as well. Stu, carrying on the flame from the Marvel trivia. It's good to see you. Might catch you later on. But again, thanks so much for this discussion. Look, we could seriously talk forever. There's so many things just to pick and choose, but it's been a blast. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice talking to you.
Catch ya. See ya.
See ya.
See you, Ray.
All right. All right. What didn't we hit in this movie?
Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of good. There's the good, the bad, and the nerdy, as Andre says. You know, it has its Martha moments, but overall, it's a great film. You know,
and supposedly it's on track to be like the second highest grossing movie ever or something.
Yeah, I mean, Black Panther enjoyed its run for a while. Although I'll say this, Black Panther is still at the theater I went to see Avengers at.
Yeah, it's still in the theaters here as well.
Huh?
Yeah,
that's funny.
Still making money, you know.
Oh, it's coming out. It's already coming out on DVD and Blu-ray in like May, I think. So.
Yeah, I imagine they've probably pushed that right up just to.
To ride that Infinity War train. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the fact that I think isn't Infinity War projected to be like 250 million by the end of this weekend.
This weekend, yeah, I think something like that. Yeah,
that's insane.
Oh, Disney's in love because I mean I think they said the number 1 was Star Wars: The Force Awakens, then it's going to be Infinity War. Number 3 is like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, I think.
Yeah. If you wonder why James Cameron hates superheroes, because they've taken away his crown. He no longer has the highest grossing films of all time. You know.
Yeah, I think the only thing it didn't hit for me, I think I mentioned it earlier, was the fact that it kind of didn't feel like an Avengers movie. It felt like I said, a continuation of Ragnarok, and it was really Thanos' story. It wasn't really anybody else's.
Well, yeah, I think that was on purpose. That the scheduling of Ragnarok and Black Panther right before Infinity War.
Yeah, and I will say this: I would have hated to have seen this film. I think if I was not already watching all the other Marvel films.
Yeah,
I think if you were jumping, if this was your first Marvel film, I don't think this would. Here's what I'll say: it would have still been enjoyable because I think that there's enough. Let me put it this way: if you were coming from a cave on Mars for the last 7 years, and this was your first introduction, I actually still think it's a good film, but you probably would have been like, well, so wait, how does this all work again? What is that thing?
You'd be overwhelmed because, I mean, they tried to explain stuff like, oh, there's this Gamora, she's Thanos' stepdaughter, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of information to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and none of the emotional beats would have worked.
No.
Yeah. So I think I saw a tweet on Twitter, obviously, and it was basically the person that I follow said something along the lines of, if this is your first Marvel movie, don't do it because you are going to get lost. And it's kind of like, you know, I replied to it and I said, I was like, yeah, you go into a Marvel movie, hey, this looks like a really good starter movie for 10. This is kind of.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come out of it thinking, what the hell happened there?
Well, you know,
hold on. Do you ever like shake your head at people when you see at this point walking out of the movie before the end credit scenes come up? You're like, how do you not know there's stuff after the credits?
I have to admit, I didn't actually have that in both screenings. It was kind of like maybe a couple of people left, but
I mean, today was pretty good. I think there was only like one couple who walked out. I just want to scream at them. There's stuff coming.
Well, actually, what I'll say is that, like, in the first one I saw this morning, I saw a bunch of people just leaving, and I was like, "Where are you going?" And then I'm watching it because I didn't know how many end credit scenes there were going to be, because I've been really good about avoiding spoilers. And I'm watching this, and all of a sudden, wait, maybe they got the spoilers. Maybe there is no end credit scene. Maybe they decided that they couldn't do one, but then of course there was one. Worth the wait, and we got Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it was always going to be
Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, you know, what I find amazing about this is that basically, the last time Thanos attacked Earth, that wasn't a Captain Marvel level event.
Well, again, we're gonna they're putting out that Captain Marvel origin movie before the next Avengers movie. Yes. So Charlie, maybe she's not on Earth. Maybe, who knows? So.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's what I'll say: it's set in the '90s. I love that they had just a real classic, state-of-the-art '90s pager.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't wait for that movie because I mean, you know, Captain Marvel having like associations with the Kree and stuff. Then you've got the Kree coming back. You've got what's his name? It's like Korvac or something. I can't remember his name.
Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan, and then the guy at the start, who was
the Pursuer. Yeah, I forget his name.
Oh yeah, the Pursuer guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. The fact that they're all coming back for it, it makes me so excited for this movie.
Well, what I think is going to be great is I think they're going to be the good guys in this, because people forget that the Kree actually used to be the good guys.
Yeah, And I think Ronin was then because it wasn't actually the reason why Ronin seemed to turn bad in the MCU seemed to be because of the whole what was it, the agreement between the Xandarians and the Kree. He didn't like that.
Yeah, the politics. Because he had probably because he lost a lot of good men in war with Xandar. And not for nothing. Who's to say the Xandarians are that good of people? And here's what I'm going to say: any group of people with a cosmic police force that feel that they can have cosmic jurisdiction over a lot of other planets. Those are probably people you want to watch.
Oh, Lord, here comes the rant about the Green Lantern Corps again. Oh, no.
Oh, don't even give me something.
But it does seem... I completely agree with that, because it does seem like it seems like they're the only ones that, at least in the MCU, that actually do a sort of policing thing. I suppose you can argue that Asgard does, but not nowhere near to the same level by the looks of it.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that no one should be doing that. That's not that... You shouldn't be the police for the universe,
Yeah.
And if nothing else, maybe that is why the Xandarians and the Kree actually came to blows, because the Kree were like, "Hey, you guys are you and your Nova Corps think you get to go all over space and beat people up. That's not how it works, man."
Wasn't Thanos threatening Ronin too and stuff and
find
me the stone or whatever.
Well, like I said, that they make the point that Ronin is a religious zealot, and I think we might get stuff about that in this. But here's what I'm going to say: is you can take that and make it into a positive, where he's now this warrior monk, and when he's on the good guys, he's a warrior monk. When he's on the bad guys, he's a religious zealot terrorist. It all depends on what side you're fighting on. And, of course, the thing about the Kree is that, the reason we were allies with the Kree was because they were at war with the Skrulls.
Yeah.
When the Skrulls stopped being a problem, then the Kree started becoming the bad guys for everyone, too, because it was sort of like World War II when we were allies with Stalin and the Soviet Union because, there was the Nazis. And so, one fascist at a time.
Well, yeah. I always love the Kree because, obviously... They sort of birthed the Inhumans at whatever point in time. So yeah, I can't wait to see that movie because it's kind of got a lot of association with the Cosmic Marvel, and I really hope that that's going to kind of carry on when Captain Marvel gets her sequels. Because,
and I honestly hope they can do something better with the Inhumans through the Kree and Captain Marvel in the movies than we've had to endure recently.
Yeah, also the TV show was
not
awful. So
it was hard on everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you host an Inhumans podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Although one has to say, Tony Stark, he's down men and women. He's gonna have to find some people to do some avenging.
Well, yeah. There's those scenes in the Infinity comic book where it's they're going across all the planets and they're like, this is an Avengers world. I'd love to see something like that because that would just be, wouldn't it be cool if the whole of the Cosmic Marvel stuff, the whole of the Earthbound Marvel stuff truly came together in a proper Infinity War? Everybody on Thanos, it'd just be, I think that'd be amazing, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a time travel story.
Well, the thing about Thanos right now is he's retired.
Yeah.
I think they're going to come to him on that planet. He's just going to be sitting there with a little straw hat, working in his garden.
Sipping on the iced tea.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey,
he's gonna be. I know. He's
glad that you were one of the ones that survived. I told you, I really admire you. I respect you.
Oh, that's the other thing. What's up with Thanos saying, "Oh, I know it's Tony Stark"? He's like, "Oh yeah, I know you."
Yeah, that's odd.
Maybe we're gonna find that out.
Maybe
Captain Marvel.
Hey Charlie, would that be a better story if that was his real father?
No, if Thanos was, in the comic books that would be fantastic. No, but you know what? Because Howard Stark's probably going to be in Captain Marvel because he was alive in the 90s.
Well, up until 91.
91.
I mean,
okay.
only just. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, but you know what? It gives reason why he might have heard of him.
Oh, maybe we'll see the Howard Stark funeral or something.
Yeah. Or maybe we'll see Arno Stark.
Or they did that CGI thing. Maybe we'll see a teenage Tony. Or
the Iron Lad. Could you imagine, like, if they introduced the Iron Lad into the MCU?
Oh yeah. Well, well, we could get Kang. It all depends. What's interesting about Kang? Kang is the one person we actually could see before the deal is final with Fox, because Kang is one of those guys that they say is probably jointly owned, but they're always very careful because that there is that legal issue. That's why there is a Quicksilver in the X-Men universe and a Scarlet Witch in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, because Marvel went and killed him off pretty much straight away, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but what it is I
think
that was part of the agreement. Was they said, okay, look, let's split the difference. We'll take Scarlet Witch. You keep Quicksilver because everyone loved your Quicksilver scene.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the deal they worked out, and I think that you could get Kang because they could say, you know what, we're working on this deal. Let us use Kang. We both agree that we can use Kang. We're not going to mention Rama Tut yet, but we're going to do Kang, and we'll call it quits. So Kang is the one guy you could see in this.
To be fair, what use would Fox have with Kang? Because I mean, they're not going to do another Fantastic Four movie, surely.
Well, they're selling everything off now, but
yeah. But what it is it's not that they don't. It's not that they have a use for them. It's that legal rights. They paid good money for these, and they're not going to let someone else use it unless there's a reason to. And what it is there would be a reason for them not to fight the use of Kang in an Avengers film, because Marvel made Rama Tut and Kang the same person, and Kang officially first appeared in Fantastic Four. Yeah. Or Rama Tut first appeared in Fantastic Four means that, although actually I think Kang appear? No, Rama Tut appeared first. That there was this idea that Marvel couldn't use Kang because of that. Now, what's interesting is I think in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes movie with Kang, there's a whole issue in it because the reason why he comes back and fights the Avengers in the first place is because the woman he loves in the cartoon fades out of existence. So with half the universe dying, if all of a sudden his future starts to fade out of existence, he's going to have to go back to find out what it is. And so then maybe again, enemy of our enemy is our friend. Kang actually shows up in the MCU as a hero, as Iron Lad did. Bam! Full circle, super connectivity.
Wasn't just a question about Kang more than anything? Immortus was a version of Kang as well, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Like a future version.
A future version.
Yeah.
There's a few different versions of Immortus as well, wasn't there? Because there's one that was his own father. I believe.
The timeline gets really muddy. With
which I don't think anybody wants to talk about that story.
Yes. Yes, but essentially, yeah. Essentially, you have Rama Tut when he's young, although he didn't look that young in the comics. But that's the idea. Then he became the Scarlet Centurion, then Kang, then eventually he retires as Immortus and is sort of like the founder of the Time Bureau thing.
He had especially got Iron Lad in there as well.
He had more identities than Hank Pym, man.
Yeah. Well, Iron Lad is an alternate universe in which he does it younger, and then and that's
he's in Exiles at the moment, which is a great comic book, by the way.
Oh, he is. Iron Lad's in. Cool. Yeah, I have to pick that up. That's on my list of things to do. Lilith says we should be reading Exiles. I got to get Exiles.
All right. We're kind of off the movie, so should we wrap this up? Let's do some final thoughts. Stu, final thoughts on the movie.
I've been going see it if you haven't seen it, but obviously if you're watching this, you've loved it. You're here to see more of it. So see more of it. Go back. I think going back and seeing it 2 or 3 times does give you more perspective on some of the things like the Gamora in the death space, which can be confusing on first viewing, I suppose. So I'd recommend seeing it 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm. I am 100% in agreement because I saw it twice today, and I was shocked when I walk out of that theater, and I am like dumbfounded, and then I'm like, you know what? My kids don't get home for about another 2.5 hours. and there's an episode. There's another one starting in 15 minutes. I'm thinking, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? I did it, and I do not regret it at all. It is so worth the second viewing. And like I said, I'm probably going to go and try and take Tristan to see it again tomorrow for a third viewing, because I think it's worth it. I think it's a film that is worth that multiple seeing, because I think there is just so much there. It's worth seeing.
And you're wondering
very few Marthas.
You're wondering why this movie's breaking records. People were seeing it 2, 3, 4 times. Adam, thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Really, I'd go and see it again if you've only seen it once, because I think when you see it the first time, the anticipation of people getting killed off, in my opinion, kind of takes away from the emotional side. So if you've been watching Marvel for the last 10 years, then you are going to want to actually take it in, really kind of process it. So if you're as bigger fans as us, then definitely go and see it again. But, yeah.
Awesome. And Charlie Esser, I know you have thoughts.
I already gave my thoughts.
Okay.
I mean, what else? Like I said, this is a great film. See it as many times as you can. It has a very low Martha to good part ratio. So, and like I said, there are Marthas. There are things that are going to make you go, there are things that make you go, that really doesn't make sense. That logic doesn't work. The timeline is a little muddled here. There's things that really can bug you. But there's also a lot that's really good about it, and there's so much that's good about it, I gotta say, Dinklage's line to Thor about, when he says, you will be killed, and he says, only if I die, and he says, yes, that's what that means. That's what to be killed means. It's just so beautiful and that is what I love about Marvel, is that they can do honest, witty jokes in the middle of darkness, because people make honest, witty jokes in the middle of darkness.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what makes these films so much more realistic than other companies' films that we won't mention right now. That these films are realistic because they have humor. Because if you were a person who is facing death every day, you'd probably want to crack a joke every now and again.
Especially if you have a Ben & Jerry's flavor ice cream named after you.
I want Stark raving hazelnut. Yeah.
Or what was the
Hulka burning fudge?
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing it's got to be like a cinnamon fudge thing. That's supposed to be very good.
Sure, just talk about, kind of if you're facing death every day, you want to crack a joke. That reminded me of a thing from Harry Potter, actually. Ironically, which was kind of like, when you're in that situation, when you're in the darkest of times, you can always find the light and all that sort of stuff. That's basically what happens in a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
it's kind of you're in a dark moment, and then just crack a joke, put a smile on your face.
I was reminded about Harry Potter just because they called Doctor Strange a wizard like every 5 minutes.
As a wizard, go get him.
Yeah. Save the wizard.
Yeah. Oh, Peter Parker was so great in this. He really was. He was just so exuberantly a teenage superhero.
Oh, we're using our fake names?
Yes.
Then I am Spider-Man.
Yes.
Great British actor as well. I think the you've got Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a real kind of multinational movie, I suppose. Which is great. You've got Karen Gillan as Nebula. I'm just naming the British ones because I'm British. So.
No, yeah, I was so glad. I was so worried when they brought out Nebula, and she's all. I was so worried that they brought poor Karen Gillan there just to have her scream for 2 scenes.
I wonder if she's going to be a big part of Avengers 4.
She's still alive. She survived.
And she's kind of got to get Tony back to Earth. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think she'll be in there. It seems like they save people to mourn for the people who disappeared. So she's there to mourn for Gamora and
and not for nothing, she is Thanos' last daughter. And just to give a wild thing, I think there may be a thing where maybe the people who died weren't necessarily as random, and that's how they're gonna. I would love to see in Avengers 4 is if they actually talk Thanos out of it. It's just like, you weren't random. You lied to yourself. You betrayed your own statements. He's like, yes, I did. I'm a horrible, horrible genocidal maniac.
I think the cruelest thing was when Rocket's like, oh, I have a lot to lose. And then he loses everything. He loses his, like, basically his family. It's just like,
Daily Guardian's still standing.
Yeah.
But he did get that gun from Winter Soldier. He didn't get the arm, but he got the gun.
Yeah. But he did give away that eye, that fake eye. I was surprised at that.
Oh yeah. Well, he's growing as a sentient raccoon. He's learning to actually have real feelings for other people.
Or he just figured, hey, a god owes me a favor.
I was about to say, does the only reason that he survived because he's the sentient one of kind of like experimented on? He's the only sentient raccoon in the whole galaxy.
Well, that's an interesting thing, especially if you come to that idea that Thanos is only killing, like, higher life forms, and he's technically a raccoon. And so all the Guardians, and again, but that again goes into the fact that it wasn't nearly as random as Thanos likes to pretend it is. Because, and you can tell it's not really random because he doesn't always only kill half the people, because all those dwarves died. Yeah,
he left one. He left 300. Yeah 299 to 1 doesn't equal 50%.
Exactly. So,
unless there's another 300 somewhere else. Yeah.
But so Thanos is bad at math. That can be our title for this episode. Thanos is bad at math.
All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Stu, where can people find you and your podcast?
Dave and I run the Signal of Doom. You can check us out on Facebook. We've got a discussion group. We're breaking into YouTube as well. So anywhere you can find us, we're on iTunes. Just Google Signal of Doom.
Cool. And Adam, over there in the lonely part, the Inhumans.
So we have the Inhumans podcast, the Atalan Rising podcast, which you can basically type Atalan Rising podcast into Google and it'll be pretty much the top hit. So because we are very, very niche. Or on Twitter we're at Atalan Rising 1, which you can find us there. Go give us a follow if you want to. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And I can recite this in my sleep, but Charlie, where can people find you?
If you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and paws once did, you can always write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter. This is at Live Tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sven Gooley, other things I randomly feel like tweeting, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality.
And as for us, you could of course you could always find the Capes and Lunatics on our YouTube channel, the podcast. Email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com, and our voicemail number 614-382-2737. That's 614-38 Capes. All right, once again, thank you, gentlemen, and thank you everyone for watching and listening. This has been part 1 of our 2-part 50th episode Avengers Infinity War discussion. Join us tomorrow for part 2 with even more podcasters.
3 hours of fun.
Yeah, because I'm sure Charlie will be out of ideas.
Yeah, well, don't worry, Tristan will be here, and he will be ready to podcast.
Oh yeah, you're taking him to see the movie tomorrow. That's right.
Yeah.
That's why people should subscribe to our YouTube. His son will be dancing around in the background. Some kind of goofy mask.
Toxic Gamer 13.
On YouTube, yes.
Ready to give his review.
Showmanship runs in his family. Oh yes, and this music that I just commissioned just for this for episode 50, done by Mikey Flash. You can find him on Twitter. Facebook, but search Mikey Flash. If you need custom music for a podcast or anything else, we'll do it for a good price. And go see the darn movie.